We all know this to be true, that everything about this 2016-2017 NBA season has been coming to this point of culmination. It's all been building to this moment. And not because of great play or interesting playoffs or compelling matchups. None of that. We've all known since the beginning of the season that the two best teams in the league were the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Golden State Warriors. And there was a significant feeling of inevitability that we were going to get to this moment in time, and it was going to be these two teams that were going to face each other for the third straight year in the NBA Finals. Plain and simple. Everything about this NBA season has felt like just a bunch of wasted motion and friction and time. Especially when you get to the NBA playoffs, and it's clear to see you have two teams that are far superior to everybody else. And the playoffs themselves were terrible. Frankly, the regular season was terrible because you know that only two teams really mattered. And frankly, the NBA did everything they could to make you understand that only two teams really mattered. Well, we've ultimately gotten to the point where we've gotten to the only thing that matters in this entire season is when these two teams inevitably face off in the NBA Finals. Now, with that said, there are a lot of interesting storylines you could argue for both the Cleveland Cavaliers and Golden State Warriors being back in this spot once again. Look at the Cavaliers. This is their third straight NBA Finals appearance. These are the defending NBA champions who dominated the Eastern Conference playoffs. I mean, just flat out dominated the Eastern Conference. They went 11-1. Impressive stuff. Level of competition be damned or not. The fact that you can go into the playoffs and handle the business the way that the Cavaliers did was truly impressive. Then you look at, this is LeBron's 8th NBA Finals in his career and 7th straight appearance. That is just ridiculous when you think about it. The fact that he's been in the league this long, has so much mileage on his body, from all the years of regular season games, going back to 18 years of age, all the years in the playoffs, the fact that he's had this many consecutive deep runs in the playoffs, be able to play at the high level that he has, stay away from any major injuries, be able to keep that competitive edge, I think, which is the biggest challenge of all, is just truly otherworldly. A chance to repeat as NBA champions, where even though that has been more commonplace over the past 30 years or so, there are still lots of great teams and lots of great players that never repeated as NBA champions. If you think about it, the Boston Celtics with Larry Bird never repeated as NBA champions. The San Antonio Spurs with Tim Duncan won 5 NBA championships. They never repeated. The Pistons of Billups and Hamilton and Wallace couldn't repeat. Dwayne Wade's Heat couldn't repeat until LeBron James went down to South Beach. Then they repeated. The Boston Celtics of Pierce Allen and Garnett couldn't repeat. The Dallas Mavericks of Dirk Nowitzki couldn't repeat. The Golden State Warriors, who last year won 73 games, set an NBA single-season record for most wins and highest win percentage. They couldn't win a second straight NBA championship after having a 3-1 series lead in the finals. So here are the Cavaliers staring down the barrel of history. And again, you get to ultimately what you would classify as a rubber match with the Warriors. The Warriors won it in 2015. The Cavaliers won it in 2016. Now we get to what feels like the rubber match, whereas if this is the last time these two teams face in the finals, which may not be the case, it could be though. And if it is, this will ultimately determine which team is viewed better in the eyes of history, which team has the better legacy in NBA history. And then for the Warriors, it's a rubber match for them too. But you look at a team coming off of 73 wins, NBA champions in 2015, losing that 3-1 series lead, frankly choking it away. They go and add a former league MVP in the prime of his career, in Kevin Durant, via free agency. They won 67 games during the regular season. Only 6 teams in NBA history have ever won more games than the Golden State Warriors did this year. That includes the Warriors team that won 73 last year. They won 67 games and added a former league MVP. They won 6 fewer games, and you could argue got better. They most certainly got more star power. This is their 3rd straight NBA Finals appearance. They're trying to get revenge for the choke job of the 3-1 series lead last year, get back to the mountaintop where they got in 2015. You've got 2 former NBA MVPs on the roster in Durant and Curry. You've got 4 NBA All-Stars when you throw in there Draymond and Clay. What's remarkable, too, is you've gotten here in the playoffs without having your head coach at your disposal in Steve Kerr. The Golden State Warriors swept the Western Conference in the playoffs. They didn't lose a damn game. I mean, that's otherworldly in and of itself, too. And the Western Conference is viewed to be superior. And the Warriors swept through it. So, in theory, there are all types of potentially intriguing stories and intriguing narratives that you have heading into the finals that could play out throughout the finals up to the conclusion of the NBA Finals of whichever team ultimately hoists the Larry O'Brien Trophy. But I cannot help but feel, in what to me has mostly been a lost NBA season, that this finals is the perfect representation of the feeling of losing to me, because it truly feels like a lose-lose situation no matter what goes down. No matter what. This has been one of the worst NBA seasons I can remember. It most certainly was the worst NBA playoffs that I can remember. And I feel like no matter what the outcome is, I won't feel good about it. From a Cleveland Cavaliers standpoint, why is it lose-lose for me with them? If they win a back-to-back NBA championship, it's just only going to crank up the rhetoric about how great LeBron James is even more. And he is great. He is phenomenal. In my opinion, has now cemented his place as the 2nd greatest player in NBA history. But how much do I need to hear more about him? How much more do I need to hear about his greatness? If anything affects my ability to appreciate the true greatness that I see for the limited window of time of whatever I'm going to see it throughout the rest of LeBron James's career, it's the fact that I have to have everybody else tell me how great he is. And then I have to hear even more about how LeBron beat a super team. And oh my God, I'll never fucking hear the end of that. Which ultimately is going to lead to the biggest thing that I fear of all, having to hear even more about how LeBron James is better than Michael Jeffrey Jordan. Which is just false. But I know I'm going to hear it. And I'm going to hear and see all these BS narratives that provide incomplete context from a bunch of people that don't know, or even worse, didn't actually watch most or all of Jordan's career like I did, trying to tell me that what my eyeballs see is a lie, and LeBron is better than Jordan. It's like we can't appreciate one without trying to prop up the other one or knock the other one down. I can appreciate LeBron's greatness without having to compare him to MJ, because to me, when all is said and done, he's the 2nd best player of all time. But he still doesn't measure up to Jordan. And it is not a thing of being the Jordan guy and all of this, even with the crying Jordan image from back when they won the first title in 91. Because as much as I love and admire Jordan, the dude that I'll swing on people about the most if they disrespect is Walter Payton. To me, Walter Payton is still my favorite athlete of all time. To me, he is that dude, even more than Jordan. And while I will always maintain he's the greatest running back of all time and arguably the greatest all-around football player of all time, if somebody tells me that they think a Joe Montana or a Tom Brady or a Jerry Rice for what he did as a wide receiver and the level of dominance he had for a sustained period at his position, even not being a quarterback, are the greatest players of all time, I understand it and I get it. And I don't necessarily put up massive arguments about it, because I could see where it's true. LeBron being ultimately better than Jordan is not true. And then you think about it too. Dan Gilbert's crybaby ass and all the crap that happened after LeBron took his talents to South Beach. It kind of makes me sick that Dan Gilbert could end up getting another NBA championship. And then the city of Cleveland, they keep winning championships. We have to find somebody else to make fun of. So it's lose-lose. But then the Golden State Warriors, too. If they win an NBA championship, The media is just going to suck off Steph Curry even more, which is going to get aggravating too. It means we're going to have to really hear even more about how they're a team for the ages. They won 2 championships in 3 years. They won 73 games last year. They won 67 this year and won a title. Oh my God, they might be the greatest team of all fucking time. I cannot tell you how magnificent it was to watch the Cavs come back from that 3-1 deficit last year to shoot that shit away once and for all about the Warriors being the greatest team for a single season in NBA history. Them bitches couldn't even win the championship when they had a 3-1 series lead. Greatest team, my ass. Greatest chokers in the history of the NBA. That's who they are. But if they win this year, I'm going to have to hear this crap about how they're a team for ages. And in particular, it's going to vindicate and validate Kevin Durant and his punk-ass pussy decision to leave Oklahoma City and go to Golden State. No, if Kevin Durant wanted to win a championship so damn bad, maybe he should have acted like the alpha dog that he wanted to be, pretended to be, and gets paid to be when he was in Oklahoma City. And maybe he shouldn't choke away his own 3-1 series lead in the Western Conference Finals against the freaking Golden State Warriors. The Warriors shouldn't even have been in the NBA Finals last year. And if Durant would have nutted up and manned up and played big when it mattered most, they wouldn't have. But instead of looking within, and instead of trying to make things work with West, even though there's no guarantee that they would have for sure, with that egomaniac, he put his tail between his legs and went like a bitch to Steph Curry's team. But if he does it, it gives him a punk-ass championship. The epitome to me of a punk-ass championship. The epitome of it. There's nothing I'd like to see less than Kevin Durant win an NBA championship this year. Not only will he have went to somebody else's team to do it, but to make it so bad, when LeBron went down to South Beach, sure, they went to the NBA Finals in 2011, and they got destroyed by people like Dirk Nowitzki and J.J. Barea. They even had to wait until year 2. When he comes back to Cleveland, you had the injuries to Love and Irving, and LeBron fought like he could in 2015, but at the end of the day, it didn't matter. So it took until 2016, the second year back in Cleveland, to win an NBA championship. So even LeBron, being kind of the championship chaser he's been throughout his career, he even had to wait a year before he ultimately tasted the sweet taste of victory, the sweet nectar of a championship. And Durant could potentially get it right away. Makes me sick. And it once again would mean that the NBA is rewarding the lack of parity they have throughout their league and encouraging other teams to go about this approach of trying to assemble super teams. And instead of trying to build a complete top-to-bottom quality roster with a variety of different guys that can do different things, including maybe 2 stars, now it's about paying 3 or 4 guys max money and hoping a bunch of other people come and play for you for the league minimum. This super team shit has been terrible for the NBA. It has hurt the overall level of competition in the NBA. There is no parity in this league, and we've known it all year long for sure, because once again, we're getting the Cavs and Warriors in the finals. I mean, think about that. 3 straight years, we're getting the same NBA finals. That's terrible. That's sad. And if the Warriors win, it only leads other teams to potentially want to make that same decision. Other players to potentially want to make that same decision. Hey, instead of being the alpha dog, let's ride together and let's try to win one. It's all about that instant gratification in society. And to me, with the NBA, as much as anything else, it's about that instant gratification of, if we can get to that spot, we got to go all in now because we can't wait till tomorrow. We can't build up to anything. Part of the reason why LeBron James lost a lot of respect for so many years was because he ultimately went championship chasing on Dwayne Wade's team in Miami. Even though he came back to a team that had Kyrie Irving in place in Cleveland and eventually got Kevin Love, you still felt like LeBron was at least the alpha dog, and he helped deliver a long-suffering fan base an NBA championship. So he got some of his goodwill back. But here, you basically have got 2 super teams that have went way beyond the salary cap, way into the luxury tax space, and all the other crap that's going to come from the media and stupid fans if either one of these teams win. If anything else, I hope we get 6 actually good games in this series, and then Game 7, we get a freaking tie at the end of the 4th quarter, and we decide that we don't play anymore, and we don't crown an NBA champion this year. Because no matter what, I'm not going to be happy with whoever the hell wins, as I just explained why.